I must tell you that I didn't know what will be the subject of the lecture, but now I am quite thrilled because I was very much involved 10, 20 years ago with all the stuff with European Union. I was the co-chairman of the committee for R&D with the EU, dealing also with the industry, the university, everything. And later I became even the chairman of Eureka, which is nearly the largest R&D network in the world, composed of 40 states in the United States. And for your comments, everything, I believe this is really crucial, what you had said. But it's tough for the future. It's tough because everything take some kind of quarrels. Even in Israel, personally, I was fighting in the government before the FP7 and before 2020, which is actually FP8. So there was some forces in the treasury to stop the involvement of Israel in the programs. And they are just counting the money. And one thing that I can, to wrap it up, is that I had a thorough study, and I really realized that the influence on the economy and the life in Israel is at least tenfold than the money that Israel is paying. But I'm sorry to say that so many are not understanding it. And in science, it's obviously, maybe science, it's like sometimes 50-fold than the investment. But life, you need to prove that each euro or shekel is paying at least a little bit more. So anyhow, this is Michel Day, not mine.
Professor Yoram Groner from the Weizmann Institute, who is from the department and from representing the Weizmann Institute. Please.
Good evening for all of us, and greeting to the Ravel family at large. Claire, yes, Ariel, Sami, and Shoshana, and of course their family members. The late Shimon Peres used to say, and it reminded me when I was sitting and listening, that every greeting speech has three parts. The first and the shortest one is when the speaker speaks about the honoree. So this is a special welcome and greeting to Michel for his 80th birthday. The second part, which is the longest, the speaker speaks about the honoree and about himself. And the third part is when the speaker speaks only about himself. We were sitting here hearing time and again what remarkable and innovative and important are Michel's scientific achievements. And I don't think that I have many things to contribute to this item. However, I thought I will dwell briefly, because I feel that I am sitting between you and dinner, on how Michel and I first met, and how was it to be his first Israeli student. So the year is 1968, 1 year after the 7-year, 6-day war. And I'm a second-year master student at the Jerusalem Department of Biochemistry, which was located at Mamila Street in a very old building, next to the wall that separated the Jordanian and Israeli Jerusalem, a wall that was demolished immediately after the war. Michel made Aliyah, I think, with a family a few weeks earlier than this, or maybe not even the weeks, and he came to give a seminar at the department. And as you all know, Michel is an excellent speaker, and he gave a very exciting seminar, and to me it was an eye-opener. And I was captured, as he said, Tinok Shenishba, a captured infant. And I remember very vividly that that evening I came home and said to my wife, Arela, that I think that I found maybe an advisor or mentor for my thesis. Next morning, I called Michel on the phone and made an appointment. I came to the Weizmann Institute, and I entered the institute through the gate, which is opposite of the agriculture faculty, and went through this very beautiful avenue of all the ficus trees and to the Ullman building. I entered Michel's office, and the rest, as we say, is history. Michel was a very unique mentor. Once the hypothesis was formulated and agreed about, he gave me the full freedom to do the experiment the way I wish and to construct the pathway the way I can envision it. But he became very much involved when the results were start to accumulate, to the extent that he was drafting the figures to the paper while the data was coming out from the beta counter. So we really knew every number, and supposing the result, he knew the same moment as it emerges from the beta counter. And the 3 years that I spent in Michel lab, I felt that every day I'm learning something new. It was really a very productive and enjoyable period. Only later on, about halfway through my thesis, we discovered that actually my uncle, Paul Mandel from Strasbourg, was Michel thesis advisor in Strasbourg. So the kind of circle closing. So Michel, again, I wish you many more years of good health, this is the most important, and productivity, because as the French says, age is not important unless you are a cheese.
Ladies and gentlemen, with your permission, I will do it in Hebrew. So, מישל היקר, קודם כל מכל הלב, ברכות הכי טובות שיכולות להיות. ורשמתי פה כמה משפטים ככה. ידוע לנו שהרב סולובייצ'יק עסק לא מעט בניתוח טיפוסים אנושיים. הוא דיבר למשל על איש דת ועל איש המדע, על איש ההדר ועל איש הברית. המטרה שלו הייתה לפתח באופן דיאלקטי דמויות מופתיות שיש בהם את השילוב המורכב בין איכויות שונות בפוטנציאל האנושי. אני חושב שאתה הוא דמות מופת כזאת של אמונה ותבונה ורגישות הכרוכות זאת בזו באופן מרשים ואמין. לכך אני מצרף באופן אישי את החברות והשותפות לדרך בינך לביני. בזכות הניסוי במעבדה והחיים השגרתיים מתאחדים לקיום אחד. אני מודה לקדוש ברוך הוא שזיכה אותי בחבר ושותף כמוך, וזאת ההזדמנות שלי להודות לקלר על המעורבות והתמיכה הקבועה ושעזרה לנו להקים ולהצליח במפעל החשוב הזה. אז תודה רבה והמון המון ברכות. ומעבר לזה אני גם רוצה מבקש, זה שי מעובדי קדימה סטם, אני אקריא את זה. פרופסור מישל רבל, תודה על ההשראה שאתה נותן לכולנו בהובלתה של קדימה סטם לחזית המדע. מעריכים מקרב לב כל עובדי קדימה סטם.
Thank you, Yossi. Now, Michel will respond, as we say in all the symposium.
Dear all, I'm sorry that it may be late and we are waiting for the piece of music that will be the last lecture. But I want to tell you how much I feel happy and very emotional about this day, this symposium. And I want to thank you for coming and for joining. It's really a unique occasion for me. The idea was to combine different parts of what I consider as my scientific work, and I was particularly happy that we started with a collaboration with Serono, with Merck, and I really want to thank Klaus and Professor Andrew Chen for coming from so far and being with us today, and especially mentioning the contribution of the Rebif. And I think this was something wonderful. I want to thank also Professor Ruth Arnon, who not only because she was a past president of the Academy of Science, but also because she used to turn to me for help for a few endeavors. And it was a wonderful occasion to hear that from the Weizmann Institute came 2 drugs for multiple sclerosis, and that I think is very important. Actually, I had invited the president of the Weizmann Institute, but he is abroad. But Professor Yoram Groner, now representing the Weizmann Institute and being one of my older students, but also with so much humor, represented the Weizmann Institute. I want to thank also Tamir Ben-Chor, Professor Ben-Chor, who is a member of the scientific board of Kadima STEM and a collaborator that we couldn't dream more for this clinical trial now ALS at the Hadassah Medical Center. Of course, I want to thank people from Kadima STEM, Michal Israel and Kfir Molakandov, who gave such a clear presentation of what we are trying to do at Kadima STEM. And I think, with all modesty, and I'm sure Claire feels the same, I feel terribly proud of the children. Every lecture was very deep, scientific, very clear, whether about the Gaucher disease, infertility, what my son-in-law, Rabbi Shlomo Wilk, said about ethics. I think it was very deep. And the ambassador, Sami, I think it was the right note for this commemoration of collaboration between Serono, Merck, and the Weizmann Institute and us. And I think everything was in the right place. And for that, I feel very moved and happy also that it went so well. I hope it was also agreeable to the public. I know many of those who came are from the period where we were younger and maybe more beautiful, but it's good to keep together and to be able to appreciate what we have done. I want to thank also Regine Shevach, who helped us organize all this ceremony, especially with a link to Merck. It so happened that all the figures are aligning. 70 years ago, I was 10 years old, and the State of Israel was created. In 1958, that is 10 years later, Claire and I were summer students at the Hebrew University here in Jerusalem, and my mother passed away, so I had to go back in the middle of the summer, but we came back the next year. And in 1958, as Sami reminded us, the Rome Agreement, starting of the European Union on the basis of concrete coal and steel agreement, and I think he made the right remark that one can build peace only if one can find some common goal, some common work to do together, and I think we should, in Israel, try to be a light for the region and try to find some kind of better future than what we witness right now. So we immigrated to Israel in 1968, that is exactly 50 years ago. I was just 30 years old, and coming with, at that time, 4 children. We lost 1 child. It's wonderful to have been able to contribute something to the State of Israel, and our wishes is that we'll be able to continue with your help, with your friendship, and that we all who came together to this symposium will come away with an optimistic view for the future. Many people who know me know that I'm not optimistic, but after listening to all this lecture, suddenly I find that maybe it wasn't so bad, and maybe there is some hope for the future. So thank you very much. As maybe I'll leave it to the chairman. I want to thank Eli Hopper Dr. Eli Hopper for having been such a good chairman and keeping time and presenting every speaker. I know he's made some research before, so he took his job very.
I know about you.
Yeah, that's right. So I let him now introduce the last lecture, and hope you enjoy it.